Thank you for watching WSTV 13. I'm Ed McNeal, Director of Marketing and Communications for the City of Winston-Salem. I'm joined today by Captain Kostyrka of the Winston-Salem Fire Department to talk about fire safety. You know, every year we see that during the winter months we start seeing an increase in house fires, and we wanted to talk about some of the causes and offer some tips that can save your property or save your lives. So Captain Kostyrka, thank you for joining us today. To get prepared for this segment today, we printed news releases off that have been issued by the fire department that go back to October and come up to January, and try to divide them out and see what the commonalities are. And what we see is electrical fires, we see fires that are caused by unattended cooking, and then we have an area that includes things that for some of them they haven't been solved yet. Investigations haven't completed them, even some for smoking material. But let's talk first about electrical fires. This seems to be the biggest area. So why is it that we see what appears to be an increase in these kinds of fires during the winter?
During the winter months, we see this increase because of the holiday season. Everybody decides to decorate their houses and Christmas trees and light everything up, and they're not aware of what the proper extension cords they should be using. We recommend a UL listed extension cord for any one of these purposes, and to make sure that we're not overloading them. Make sure that we're cautious of what is being plugged into that, how we're using them. Do we have the right extension cord for the right purpose? Are we using an indoor extension cord outside for lighting Christmas lights or whatever? So a lot of times it's just the fact that we're not using the right equipment for the right stuff. Right.
Okay, and then one of the things too that seems to come out of this, it's always a discussion when we talk about fire safety, but the use of smoke alarms. I'm amazed that I continue to hear that you go into homes and smoke alarms aren't being used.
Yeah, this is another hot topic for us, that we go in on a house fire and sometimes you hear the smoke alarm going off, and then sometimes you don't. Smoke detectors are very underused, and the importance of them is a life or death situation. You know, that is what is going to get you up out of your sleep, wake you up, make you aware that there is something wrong in your house, and that you need to get out and do something about it. And then a lot of times we are, you hear it going off, and you hear it going off, and you hear it, and you're just complacent to it, and you're not willing, to change that battery or maybe go get a new one. And some of the things you have to do with that is also, if you hear that going off, you have to have an evacuation plan. And that's something you should be practicing with the family, and something that you should be doing with children in the house, if there is, and treat it like it's a real situation.
I think one of the things that's been an outstanding thing that's happened with the fire department over the last few years is you all continue to educate and get the word out to young people. My 5-year-old, my 10-year-old come home and say, we have to have a fire evacuation plan. And so that's very important work, and thank you all for continuing to do that, because it does pay dividends when parents are able to make this real to children, but to help them to be prepared. So thank you all for that work.
Yeah, children are our best resource.
Yeah. So let's talk about space heaters, because I think they also tend to factor into some of the electrically caused house fires.
Yeah, space heaters is another one of those UL listed items that we like to have in the house. If you're going to go to bed, unplug the space heater. You don't leave it running all night long. Usually a 3-foot area around the space heater where there's nothing around it, so it can't catch anything else on fire. Again, making sure that you're keeping an eye on it, that you're not leaving it on for 12, 13 hours a day. It's also one of the leading causes of electrical issues.
Okay, and so then the other large area that we looked into was unattended cooking. This is one that, as you mentioned as we were getting ready for this, that it's not just during the winter months. This is something you see all across the calendar year.
Yeah, I think it's because we get so preoccupied with doing other things while we're cooking. It's easy to just go to the stove, put on some grease, you're going to get ready to cook some french fries or something, and then you walk away, your child needs homework, help with homework, or you need to do something else, throw some laundry and do some other task, and you forget that you got that going.
And I know here in the last couple of years, the department has been involved in a limited way distributing some of these devices, but talk a little bit about a device called the stovetop fire stop. How does that work? And I know it's something that people can get in the home improvement stores, but talk a little about how they work.
Well, that's something that's pretty similar to like a dry extinguisher program. So what you do is it goes in the hood system over top of your stove, and once it heats up to a certain temperature, reaches that, it disperses a dry powder. And in fact, what it does is just put the fire out and stops it right then and there. Minimal damage. A lot of cleanup, but minimal damage.
Right. You talk about the damage. We pulled just a few of these releases, as I said before. We're looking at damage for property upwards of $120,000. We're talking about contents up to $25,000 in loss for these families. Fortunately, in none of these did we see a loss of life, which is really the most important thing. And as much as those tools are great, the stovetop fire stop, or even having a smoke detector in your home, nothing beats being prepared and being attentive in your cooking.
Right, and you have to pay attention to it all the time. If you're out there cooking and you're doing something at that stove, stay at the stove. Continue to be at the stove while you're doing what you're doing.
Okay, Captain, is there anything else you want to share with our audience regarding tips to stay safe, both during the holiday season, during the winter time, or even throughout the year?
Just be cautious to what you're doing. Pay attention to what you're doing. Make sure that your children do know your emergency plan and you practice it. Make sure that you are changing out your smoke detector batteries, replacing them if they need to be replaced, and we're more than willing to come out and assist with any of that stuff, so they can contact us to come out and help. Right.
You can learn more information about the programs and tips as well regarding fire safety on the city's website at www.cityofws.org. Select or search for fire department and you'll gather that information. Again, I'm Ed McNeal, Director of Marketing and Communications. I want to say thank you to Captain Kostyrka for joining us today. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.